Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
I'm Wajahat, and I've never had a soundtrack and trumpets.
Well, here you go. You deserve a grand entrance, as the people
Do
say.
you hear echo? I hear an echo. Is that
Yes,
me?
I do. I think it may be you.
There you go. How's that?
We're back in business.
All right, wonderful.
Hello, folks, and welcome to what will be the last Democracy-ish of 2024. Because whoa, has this been a year, and do we have things to unpack? Well, folks, let's just get right into it, Waj, because this man.
All hail President Musk. I, for one, welcome my new techno overlords. I shall do my best to herd all the other humans into your service. I just hope that you give me the best cryptocurrency and give me my own personal cell in your new technotopia. I, for one, hail thee, President Musk, and I shall do whatever you want me to do, and all of your enemies are now my enemies, which includes democracy and Muslims and immigrants and people of color and poor people and workers.
Oh, and trans folks.
Oh, and
It's like, don't miss out on the first group that he hates so much. What's wild to me here is that this week, right, as we've kind of moved through the headlines of, oh, well, let's just show the people. No bills should be passed Congress until January 20th, when @real Donald Trump takes office. None. Zero. That comes from Musk, who tells the American people that we can wait. We can shut it down for 33 days. It's not that big of a deal. Who cares if workers are furloughed? Who cares if TSA, right? Those people who check the bags as America gets ready to travel during the holiday season are paid and actually show up to work. Who cares if veterans receive their benefits? Waj, like, we can just push ourselves through it for the next 33 days, says the man worth $400 billion that doesn't have to wait on a check in order to be able to live his life.
And also, to underscore how unhinged he is, he did a 100 post tweet storm that began with this tweet at 4:15 a.m. I'm like, bro,
Totally
first
normal.
of all, why are you awake at 4:15 a.m.? I'm the only one who's awake at 4:15 a.m. Number two, when I'm awake at 4:15 a.m., I'm usually relaxing, writing, not engaging in destructive tweets. Three, he also promised to primary any Republican who does not bend the knee. Right? He bullied Mike Johnson. And Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, went on Newsmax and bragged, well, I'm on a text chain with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. When I'm not monitoring my child's porn, I'm just texting with I'm making that part up, folks, but I'm not making the part up when he talked about texting, being on a text chain, right? And he thought that would protect him. So for those who haven't followed, America has this archaic system of the debt ceiling, which is hijacked by Republicans almost on an annual basis to basically force them to cut spending to necessary services. Their dream, we'll talk about later, is to cut Social Security and Medicare, right? To give tax cuts to the rich. And they realize they can hijack Democrats and pretty much push their cultural war and cultural agenda. We're the only developed country that has this archaic system. And it's necessary for the United States to pay back its debt, right? Like, we have to literally borrow money and then spend that money, right? It's already been like legislated, right? Just give us the money, let us spend it. So they hold the debt ceiling, and essentially, as Danielle said, the government in a chokehold. They'll hold Black people in chokeholds also. Too soon or not soon enough. The deal was done. Mike Johnson worked with Democrats, because you have to get the deal done. The deal was done. Not a perfect deal. The deal was done. Elon Musk decides to torpedo it at the last second, then promises to primary Danielle any Republican who goes against it. And then you think, well, wait a second. I think the people elected Donald Trump. Donald Trump was fine on Tuesday with this deal. What happened? Because Donald Trump then had a complete 180, Danielle. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So here's the thing, is that Elon Musk goes on this Twitter rage and rant Donald Trump was silent, right? Until Republicans started responding to, I guess, their new MAGA king, their new
Mm.
daddy, Elon Musk. And then finally, Donald Trump, I guess somebody woke him up from his slumber, comes out and says, "Success in Washington. Speaker Mike Johnson and the House have come to a very good deal for the American people. The newly agreed to American Relief Act of 2024 will keep the government open, fund our great farmers and others, and provide relief for those severely impacted by devastating hurricanes. A very important piece, vital to the America First agenda, was added as well. The date of the very necessary debt ceiling will be pushed out 2 years to January 30th, 2027. And, and he says, now we can make America great again very quickly, which is what the American people gave us a mandate to do. But then what happened? Because it didn't quite go as Donald Trump planned, Waj, because then we got headlines like, oh, this one.
Because look, folks, it is the second most narrow margin in the House in history, meaning that Republicans can only afford to lose around one member, right? They already had lost Tom Massey, so they couldn't lose any more. Last night, after President Musk, Daddy Musk, and then second daddy, Donald Trump threatened the Republicans to get into shape, 38 Republicans in the House said, nah. And now, this is Friday, folks. Deadline's going to be midnight. Maybe the government will shut down before the holidays. Maybe all these people who depend on checks won't get their checks. Maybe some services which are essential won't be provided. And I want to remind all of you that the longest government shutdown in U.S. history was in 2019. Last more than a month. Who was president? Donald Trump. And guess what, Danielle? You and I have been saying that the F round and find out what happened on day one. No, he's still
I mean, that's the one time we were wrong. It actually decided to up the calendar date by a month and start now. Because what I find incredible here is that, so here Elon Musk is out there talking about, now if you're following his rants, is saying only 2 Democrats cross party lines. If the government shuts down, it's going to be Democrats' fault. No, sir.
No, sir.
I don't think that you know who has the majority right now in the House, and that 38 of your own members said, fuck you, and decided not to listen to either of their daddies and instead actually listen to their constituents. What a novel idea. But what this says here, folks, is that the House GOP leaders can still bring it up through regular channels by sending it through committee, and this would enable them to try again to pass it with a simple majority. But dozens of Republicans voted against the measure, while only 2 Democrats voted in favor. The final tally, 174 in favor, 235 against. And here's the thing. Johnson says he got a plan. Did it develop in the text chain? Like, was it his plan? Is it Elon's new plan that is certain to fail and combust the way his Cybertrucks do, or Teslas? Like, what's the plan here? Because you had a bipartisan deal.
There you go.
Because this is the thing that we have to understand here. You had a bipartisan deal. Bipartisan, meaning both parties agreed upon these things. Musk does not want Democrats to have anything. So if a Democrat agrees to it, Musk is like, oh no, we're out. And Donald Trump is like, oh, okay, well, Musk says we're out, so we're out. And I'm just like, you all, they vie for power. They vie for the gavel. And what do they show us, Waj? That they have no idea how to govern and no desire to govern and do their jobs.
You touched upon something I just wanted to bring up. 2 points. Number one, I give compliments when compliments are due. And, I'm tough on the MAGA. I kid the MAGA a lot. And I want to be generous in this holiday spirit. I'm going to give a very sincere compliment to the Republican Party. They are an excellent opposition party. They are great at throwing sand in the gears. They are great at owning the libs. They are great at trolling. They are great at dismantling a progressive agenda. They are great at using all of their powers to harm the government, harm Democrats, harm the working class. Fantastic opposition party. I mean it sincerely. What they have been terrible at, folks, for the past 50 years is governing. They are a terrible governing party. They don't know how to govern. They don't want to govern. They get into office, they become government employees to destroy the government. They want to sink the government in the bathtub, right? But guess what? You need a government. Guess what? When you're elected, you have responsibilities. And Representative Johnson, who I wasn't making that up, him and his son monitor each other's porn activities.
You can
Whatever. Yeah, super Christian, awkward fit with Musk and Trump, who have I guess
3,000 children between the two of them by multiple
46,000
different
children
women.
live libertine lives. He is an adult. He realizes, oh, guess what? This is my duty as House leader. I have to keep the government going, right? And I want people just to, we sit there and laugh at this, but just think about it. Elected officials, as Daniel just said, did their job. Bipartisan deal. Government has to run. Government has to be funded. Services have to be funded. At 4:15 a.m., the richest man on earth, who, by the way, just today endorsed the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, right? The most extreme far-right party in Germany, which is the heir to the Nazi party. That's another big news that just happened today. Today, Musk says AfD must win. AfD, folks, again, Nazis. It's the modern Nazi party. That guy who spent $250 million of his own money to get Trump elected, who created a super PAC to get Trump elected, who gave money out for people to vote for Trump, bought himself this agency called Dodge, which is also the name of, wait for it, a cryptocurrency that co-runs with another billionaire named Vivek Ramaswamy, who got the billions by putting his family on the board to greenlight a piece of shit bullshit medicine that was debunked before. Then he got out. Those two guys now are responsible for trimming the fat and excess from the government. Meanwhile, Elon Trump didn't mention this in his tweets. I hate government spending, even though government subsidies have made me rich. We must cut government spending, even though you taxpayers, you rubes, gave me money for what's the stupid space thing?
SpaceX.
Yeah. So literally, he got his money. I just want people to understand the grip, the con. He's like, I'm against government spending, except when it comes for your tax dollars coming to me through subsidies. And he then at 4:15 a.m. does this tweet. The dude is not elected. And all these Republicans bent the knee. Even Dan Crenshaw said, listen, Elon Musk, we had a bipartisan deal. I love you, buddy, but we got to do this. I love you, though. That was an exact quote, kissing his ass. Sorry for that rant.
Can we talk about, though, some of the fat that they trimmed out in their second iteration of the bill that failed? So here's the fat, folks. Reported by Sawyer Hackett, thanks to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, Republicans cut $190 million for pediatric cancer research from the funding bill. Congrats, Doge, on their first victory. And the title of the legislation, Give Kids a Chance. And Elon said, fuck them kids. Okay.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, fuck them kids.
It is absolutely astonishing. And then, on top of which, he also complained that the bill was too long, 1,500 pages, because these motherfuckers don't read, right? The only thing that they know how to read are their own tweets, right? Outside of that, they actually don't read anything.
Nope.
And so here you have, and I'm not saying, folks, that there are not things inside of this budget that could be cut.
Of course.
Namely, I don't know, the $850 billion for the Pentagon's budget that could actually subsidize everything else that is only in the millions that we spend on and still have billions left over for the Pentagon. But they won't go there because guess what? As Waj laid out, where does Elon's money come from in government contracts? Through the fucking Pentagon. So he's not going to cut, right? The hand that feeds him. So, I mean, it's just like the audacity is at an all-time high. But I will say, I appreciated Hakeem Jeffries, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' press conference yesterday, where when asked if he would have Democrats vote for Mike Johnson to remain speaker so that the government could keep moving and trotting along, and his succinct answer was, no.
Yeah.
Next question, please.
They're learning, Danielle. Look, you said something which I think, just a fact is, in the next month, who has all the control? Who has all the power? Who has the Supreme Court? Republicans. Who has the presidency? Elon Musk. Oh, I'm sorry. Trump. Republicans. Billionaires. What? Kleptocracy. Brolarchy. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm malfunctioning. Who has the House?
Yeah. Weird.
Who has the Senate? Republicans. So if I'm Democrats, F them. F them. You bought it. You broke it. You fix it.
It's yours.
And I would go, and the Democrats have learned, and this week they've done something. We'll talk about where they effed up. We always try to be fair on the show. This week, they're doing two great things. Hakeem Jeffries is like, all right, we had it, and you effed it up, and now the government's going to shut down, and the new bills that you're proposing all suck. You fix it. You want to go back to the old bill? We could do that. If not, all right, you're on your own. And all the Democrats are like, nah, F them. Second thing they've done is Senator Chris Murphy. I think finally he's out there. If you're listening to him, Jasmine Crockett, Chris Murphy, AOC, when it comes to messaging, are doing a fantastic job reminding Americans, and now I think really pushing this narrative that the only reason that Trump is doing all of this, right, this cruelty, this meanness, Elon Musk, is because him and his rich friends are trying to steal your money. Chris Murphy said that on MSNBC. I'm like, perfect framing. The only edit I'd give is he added the word kleptocracy. And I would tell Democrats, you and I can use kleptocracy, caucusocracy, but for them, they should just use the 1%. Because most Americans don't know. If I were them, I would say Donald Trump and his rich friends like Elon Musk represent the 1%, and they're stealing your money. That would be my message from here on out, Danielle. And the other thing they did, which was really smart, you saw them now all do this, and we're doing it. President Musk. I'm telling you, Donald, it'll get under his nerves. I know Donald Trump. Michael Cohen told me. He said, Donald Trump is so fickle.
Yep.
If someone accidentally upstages him in a photo, he looks at the photo, marks that person, and says, never have that person upstage me again. So can you imagine now everyone saying President Musk?
Here's my thought. And I said this yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show. I said the only thing that media should be doing, corporate media and indie media moving forward, is referring to Elon Musk as president. That our goal should be to stoke all of the egos that are ever present inside of this party, because we know that they will combust. Right? Because look at this, folks. Let me show you what Donald Trump has done just this week to one of his MAGA staunch supporters in Congress. Is wild AF. First, Waj, tell folks who Chip Roy is.
Right. Representative Chip Roy is like so MAGA that he was born with red, white, and blue. A color in his umbilical cord, right? And a gun. Hardcore, right-wing, conservative, drenched in MAGA sweat, blood, and tears. That Chip Roy. Like 37 other House representatives, was like, I can't support this, right? And so Donald, following Musk's lead, then decides to bully that Chip Roy. Chip Roy isn't, what's the one that he wants to do a military tribunal? Oh, Liz Cheney, right? He's very compliant. The very unpopular congressman, I have no idea why congressman is in quotes. He actually is a congressman from Texas. Chip Roy is getting in the way, as usual, of having yet another great Republican victory, all for the sake of some cheap publicity for himself. Republican obstructionists have to be done away with. and then I can't read the rest of it. But if he's turning the cannons on Chip Roy,
and
he ain't even president yet, and guess what, folks? This is where we take the wins where we can. You got the two daddies took out their belt and tried to spank him. The vicious spanking, the violent spanking that Tucker Carlson dreamed of in late October. I'm not making it up. Go back and see that October rally in Georgia. He says, America needs daddy, and daddy's going to give America a spanking, and they all applauded. Not making this shut up. Both of them took out their belt and spanked him. And guess what 38 Republicans decided to do? They were the rebellious kids. They said, I've been beat before. I'm still going to take the car out and go party and do what I want. That, my friends, is a type of instigation. That is the fissure in the edifice. And I want to be the one with the crowbar.
Oh, it's like it's an open wound. I want to be the fucking what is it? The bar?
Yeah, crowbar.
The crowbar that opens it wide open and just sprays salt into it. Because the thing is that we know that they cannot stand to be upstage. They cannot stand to look stupid. And what's funny here, right, folks, as all of this conversation is going around, and if you're on Blue Sky right now, you see that there are these names now that are being floated around for the new Speaker of the House, right? They're already trying to prime and get away from Johnson. And I just want to remind folks what was said about Mike Johnson. Again, stalwart MAGA, came to Congress in 2016 when Donald Trump was elected, has been backing Donald Trump all the way. Now, because he has the audacity to want to pass bipartisan legislation, now all of a sudden he's unwanted. But this is what was said about him before.
To do and time to make up, and we don't have a second to waste. Here's the important thing of Johnson. He is part of the Trump era. All he's known is the Trump era. He won in 16 when President Trump came from behind to win in the great 16 election. He's been here. He was one of the intellectual architects of pushing back on the stolen election. And the audience understand, the mainstream media is now going to hound him as Biden legitimate. You just watch. They're going to try to tear this guy's face off because they're just dawning on them that he is by far the most conservative speaker in the history of the country, House Speaker.
Okay, that was 2023.
That was 2023. So take the time machine back with us 1 whole year when Mike Johnson was lauded with all of this praise for his support of MAGA. And now that he actually is in charge of making sure the wheels stay on the car, right, of Congress, now all of a sudden they're posting up names like, let Elon Musk be speaker, says Rand Paul. Let Vivek Ramaswamy be speaker, saying another. Let's put up Byron Donalds as, as the blackface. Let's do anybody but Mike Johnson. And my whole thing is like, who the hell wants this job?
There you go.
And just to remind folks, you do not need to be a current or sitting member of Congress to be Speaker of the House. Outside names have been floated before. But the funny thing is that when Rand Paul was pitching Elon Musk to be Speaker of the House, it had nothing to do with his qualifications, Waj. It had everything to do with owning the libs, because they're not interested in legislating. They're interested in posturing, getting on Fox News, raising money on their bullshit, right? And being obstructionist. That's it. And all the resume that Elon Musk needs to be Speaker of the House is that, quote unquote, their heads will explode. Whose head? I'm fine. I'm like, let it rock.
Popcorn's going to explode in my home. I'm going to sit there and eat it with butter and salt, even though I shouldn't, but I will. Susie, you said something that I wanted to say. The face-eating Leopard Party eats faces. If you listen to that Steve Bannon's clip, he said they're going to rip off Mike Johnson's face. Me and Danielle ain't. You are. Yep. This week, that same Steve Bannon threw Mike Johnson under the bus and called him a Democrat. You have to be a masochist to want to be the House Speaker. I want to give you an example. Let's do in Oscars they have In Memoriam and they have the violin playing. So we're gonna put Mike Johnson there, and then last year Kevin McCarthy,
and before that Paul Ryan.
This is the face-eating leopard party eating the faces. It is inevitable. They fed this monster. They enabled it. They gave it racism, disinformation, guns, assault rifles. The monster escaped the lab, turned on it Dr. Frankenstein, the scientist, led by Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now aged and old. He radicalized many Frankenstein monsters, right? And now look at them. They're turning on each other, right? It's the face-eating leopard party. Chip Roy, not hardcore enough. Mike Johnson, not hardcore enough, right? Mike Gates, because Gates pissed off so many people, they're allegedly going to release the report. Who controls the House right now? Republicans. That means a lot of Republicans on the DL are stabbing Matt Gaetz in the back. They're like, all right, mother effer, we're going to kick you while you're down and release this report. They haven't released it yet, but apparently that's the buzz. They're going to release the report. So I agree. A strategy, Danielle, should be knowing the nature of these vindictive, venal, cruel, cynical, selfish people. To quote Godzilla, let them fight.
Yes. And that's what I think that the role of the Democratic Party should be, is just sit back. You no longer need to be the adults in the room. You do not need to play referee between one MAGA extremist and another. And frankly, anytime that anything is brought up in Congress, I think Democrats should go on television and say, did Elon Musk approve this?
President Musk.
Right. Did President Musk approve this? Because I don't know if they should be out here speaking, because I hadn't seen a barrage of tweets that say that this is okay. Right? Like, he says jump, they say how high. So maybe we should be checking X to see where our next policy agendas are coming from, because they are clearly not coming from those that we elected. Right? And they're not making decisions based on what it is that their constituents need. Right? They're making decisions on whether or not Elon Musk is going to like them. And then Elon also found himself on social media talking about, I'm not just going to primary Republicans, I'm going to primary Democrats too. Because what does he want to do? Buy this country.
That's the key. That's key.
He wants to be king of the brolarchy. And I believe this, and I'll ask you this, Waj, because this is what I believe. I believe that Donald Trump really is out to lunch. I think that Donald Trump got presidential immunity in July from the Supreme Court. He won the election, so he got all of his cases pretty much dismissed. We'll get to where we are with whatchamacallit, Georgia, towards the end of the show. But the fact of the matter is, right, he can sit back and grift. He knows that prison is not in his future, and he doesn't like working because he's never had to do it in his entire fucking life. So he gets to sit down in Mar-a-Lago, drink his Coca-Colas, eat his McDonald's, and give over the country to Elon Musk and say, so long as you cut me, you give me a cut of the America's apple pie, I'm good.
I completely agree with you. I don't think he has the stamina anymore. He's 79 years old. He's the oldest person to ever be elected president. By the time he's done, who knows, maybe third term, fourth term, right? I believe he's exhausted. He was a terrible first-time president. You all forget that his executive agenda included basically 8 hours of just empty time where he ranted and raved and watched television. So even then, about like 8 years ago, he didn't have the stamina. It's quid pro quo. It's you scratch my back, I scratch your back. The Oval Office is an ATM. Pay me, pay my family, pay my friends, do what you want. Everyone, including world leaders, authoritarians, the brolarchy, know exactly what they're dealing with. Give this dude money, give him compliments, and he'll give us deregulation. And I think what's really important, Elon Musk, what does he want? He wants power, control, influence, deregulation. He doesn't want anyone telling him what to do. He wants to have unfettered power. That's what the billionaires want. They also want tax cuts. The only thing the Republicans did during Trump's first administration is they passed the tax cuts. The tax cuts magically did not trickle down to the rest of us. The tax cuts magically did not fuel the engines of the economic progress. Our children will be paying for those tax cuts. Now the question is, they want more tax cuts. So you might be asking yourself, well, who's going to pay for those tax cuts? We are. And this is why they've created Dodge, two billionaires, Vivek and Elon Musk, because they're going to raid our pension, our Social Security, our Medicare, our essential services to pay for their tax cuts to make the rich richer and the rest of us poorer. And AOC, one of the great communicators, said it bluntly. I think we have a tweet. There you go.
They're cutting health care to kids because Elon gets his money from defense contracts. So they'll never touch the military budget. And if you all remember, in one of the last State of the Unions, when Joe Biden was actually on fire and he said, oh, they want to cut Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, and the Republicans all yelled, no. And Biden was like, oh, is that right? Because I have the receipts, but you don't need receipts when you have them in their own words.
Easy order at all, but we made a promise. We made a promise to actually take the debt seriously for the first time in a very long time. The fact that we're spending so much money and we're not doing anything to take care of the non-discretionary side of the house. I understand it's not palatable. Even the president expressed his concerns on how we're going to tackle Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, but that's 75% of the budget that's spoken for that we consider quote unquote mandatory. And we just added another $200 to $300 billion when we voted on the Social Security double dipping bill just less than a couple weeks ago.
While I still
that's the bond plan. Listen, Danielle, can I say one thing? Each time Republicans have gone down this road, this is not new. Ever since FDR helped create Social Security and basically the New Deal, which they've always hated, Republicans have opposed this. Reagan tried, George W. Bush tried, right? Each time they've really gone aggressive against Social Security, it has been a political loser for them. Because why? What are the two social services that Americans across the board, regardless of their ethnicity, their politics, their age, their gender, love? We love our Medicare. We love our Social Security. We hate socialism, but we love Medicare and Social Security. You go after their Social Security, I'm telling you, Danielle, this is going to be this is me with the crowbar. This is me just prying it open. And they're telling you now.
Look, this is, but none of it is, see, we can't even call, I mean, I guess it is a bond plan because villains always tell you the plans out in the open, and they are telling us out in the open right now what it is that they plan to do. And so the intention is not just for them to hurt the people that y'all agree you hate. It is to hurt you too. Because again, this is a set of people whose grandparents and great-grandparents drained the pools, folks, drained the swimming pools in communities so that they wouldn't be integrated. They are totally fine with harming themselves.
That's right.
So long as Black folks don't get access to Social Security, so long as people of color don't get access, right, to Medicaid and Medicare. That's the thing. Right. So they are ready, primed, and able to drive this country into the ground. There are no guardrails. There is no one standing in their way to do it except for themselves. And we all have to remember, right? This is a clown car administration filled with dysfunction and egomaniacs. And because of that, you give them a long enough rope and they will kill each other, right? In order to see whose is longer. Like that is the essence of MAGA.
And also, you know, you said kill each other. I want to remind people that the person who tried to assassinate Donald Trump and nicked his ear was a Republican, a young, white, male Republican with Trump signs outside of his home. His family was Republican and a gun nut, okay? This is what you have created. You have bred the new generation of face-eating leopards who have developed a cannibalistic taste as well, right? And that is the MAGA party. And it's one of those things that we have to protect ourselves as much as we can. We have to protect our communities, our health, our social services. You know, people depend on Social Security, folks, to survive. People depend on Medicare to survive, like literally. And these people are so cruel. They're coming after that. And now we're witnessing all these Trump voters. We've talked about it before. They're like, wait, they're coming after my Social Security? No, they will they? Wait, I love ACA. Is ACA the same thing as Obamacare? It trended on TikTok where all these Trump voters just were realizing in real time what was about to happen. Tariffs. But I thought China will pay for the tariffs.
Yep.
No, you're going to pay for the tariffs. But my eggs, they're going to go up. Here we are.
I mean, you know, here we are. And again, you know, not to say we told you so, but we fucking told you so.
Well,
you know, and the fact is that we thought again this was going to be primed and ready to go on January 20th, but this is the trailer,
yeah.
right? We are in the trailer right now to Trump regime 2.0. And the trailer looks like a bigger shit show than his first term. And and the thing that I will continue to say, right? Because I think it's important before we get out of here today for
Well,
us.
can I say that? But before you say that,
please.
but you said primed, and it reminded me of something. Amazon workers are striking
Oh,
at
yes.
several sites right now. And I want to ask you this question because I think you should always support the workers. Amazon lied about the sanitary conditions. It's far worse. Who would have thought? That's what happens, folks, when you have deregulation and no oversight. And by the way, Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, guess who he was dining with this week? Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Again, Democrat, layup Democrats, go after the 1%. But, a lot of these Amazon workers, guess who they voted for?
Donald Trump.
So I'm just curious, Daniel, what do we say? Like, I say support the workers. I mean, they are getting crushed. These sanitary, horrible, abusive conditions have been talked about for years, but Amazon has so much money. And now for the first time ever, they're striking at multiple sites, which is huge. I support the workers, but folks, going back to Danielle's point, the teaser, a great Superman teaser came out yesterday. And we also got the terrible MAGA teaser. He isn't even president, Danielle, and this is happening.
And this is happening. And the thing is, I will always support workers, even if they don't support themselves. Right. And that is facts. Right. Like, I will always support the workers, even when they don't support themselves, because at the end of the day, you have to understand, you have to ask yourself the one good question, which is why. Right. Like, why are they turning us against each other? Why are they making immigrants and migrants scapegoats? Why are they getting rid of abortion? Why are, they getting ready to pillage social safety nets? Like, who is this all for? Ask the question why. And guess what? Follow the breadcrumbs all the way back to the 1%, because it always comes back to corporate greed, right? And capitalism. And the fact is that they are happy because they see Americans like cogs in a machine. When you get burnt out, they'll throw you out and put another one right in. You die on the job, right? Oh, so sorry, Sam is gone. Bagels in the break room. Oh, we have his replacement in by noon. Do you know what I'm saying? They tell you what they think about you over and over again. And all we have to do is actually listen. But here's the thing that I wanted to say, Waj, right? Which is, we continue to talk about Republicans, and Republicans are going to do what they always do. And what I realize is that so will Democrats.
That's right.
Whether or not that is good or not. So we saw this week, right? This week, AOC was up against Jerry Conley.
A young 74-year-old man.
A young 74 man with throat cancer was up against a 35-year-old brilliant orator, right, and legislator to be the ranking member on oversight, right? And what did Nancy Pelosi do? She did what the fuck she always does. Behind the scenes, pulling the levers and circling the wagons around septuagenarians at the expense of the future of the party. So Conley won the vote. Right? Other septuagenarians voted for him. And so now he's going to be the head of the ranking member of oversight. But get this, folks, take a look at this chart right here, which shows you in key swing states, Harris lost support from voters under 30. And it goes from Georgia, right? Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona. And shows you the percentage at which they lost those voters at. So my whole thing is, every time Democrats should be in a place of self-reflection about the future, they seem to just love going back to the past. Schumer still going to be the fucking minority leader in the Senate?
74.
Why?
74.
You lost the fucking Senate. Why are you still in power? Nancy Pelosi is not the minority leader in the House, but she's still pulling the strings. So every time we have to understand, and this is what I've been saying, Waj, is that as Republicans have continued to move off the cliff into full-blown fascism and extremism, right? Democrats continue to chase them to the right. And so what we used to refer to as centrist Democrats, I truly believe that these are nothing more than moderate Republicans in sheep's clothing. And we need to call them what they are, because they are so ready and willing to throw out the future, the young, progressive, thoughtful, brilliant voices that are passionate enough to rally the troops in favor of doing the same old thing over and over again and expecting a different fucking result.
I made the mistake of not sharing with you this amazing 21-second clip of a young buffalo in slow motion being chased by a pack of wolves. And then the pack of wolves almost catch up to the young buffalo and his parents, right? And all the adult buffaloes are rushing past. And then you see a male buffalo come from behind and hit the young buffalo, essentially sacrificing the young buffalo. All the wolves descend on the young buffalo, and the adult buffalo escapes. I saw that clip, and I said to myself, that's the Democratic establishment. It's literally sacrificing their young.
Yep.
You know, Don Beyer, who's here in Virginia, representative, literally said about Connolly, he's a young 74-year-old, cancer notwithstanding. That's an exact quote. Just a month and a half ago, Jerry Connolly is 74, diagnosed with esophagus cancer. Jerry Connolly, last time I checked, has 4,000 followers on Instagram. AOC has 4 million, one of the most recognizable Democrats on earth. Amazing communicator, uses social media, looking for House Oversight Committee, where you can literally air out the fuckery of MAGA that is happening as of now, even before Donald Trump has become president. And instead, they get a guy, 74-year-old Jerry Connolly, who I don't think has ever done a TikTok in his life, who has cancer. And they said, yeah, let's go with him. And let's not forget that Nancy Pelosi did this shiving in the back while she was recovering from her alleged hip fall, because she's 84. And then let's not forget that Jasmine Crockett, who is crushing it on a nightly basis, she makes time. She literally goes on MSNBC, folks, even when she's about to board a plane. She's sitting there in the plane's about to take off, and she just hits those talking points, right? And she's the one, someone mentioned it, who said, I'm just sipping tea, y'all, and let the Republicans mess it up. She had this great snarky tweet yesterday. Who should we get as communicator? This young black woman from Texas who literally goes viral for dunking on Republicans and inspiring the base? No, let's go for 70-plus-year-old Debbie Dingell of Michigan and shiv Jasmine Crockett. It's you know, money is bipartisan. People forget this. The money in politics pays for Nancy Pelosi's Brazilian blowouts and Nancy Mace's Brazilian blowouts. Too soon? Too soon? That came to the top of the head.
Off the dome. I love that. Come on.
Establishment is wealthy. The establishment is white. People have said that this is how the business works. This is why they don't make fun of billionaires or the 1%, because with Citizens United and the way politics is fueled is not through ethics and not through Mr. Smith's Goes to Washington's type of candor and honesty and sincerity. It's through money. But the problem is you have the righteous rage, Danielle, of a majority of us who are sick and tired of the 1%. You have the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson being celebrated openly, Danielle. And then you have Nancy Pelosi shiving AOC, Dingell shiving Jasmine Crockett, and them shiving workers and the rest of us for the sake of this gerontocracy that is in bed with the brolarchy. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, what do I think is going to happen? The same thing that always happens. But one thing that I believe that we are inching our way towards is a split within the Democratic Party.
Good.
Because it is necessary. We cannot continue to do the same old things and put these people in positions of power who do not have their ear to the ground and have not had their ear to the ground for decades. right? And what I said yesterday on the Danielle and Moodie show, there is a place for these folks that have this institutional knowledge that have been there. And it is called mentorship, right? It is called handing over the baton, right? And the gavel over to a younger, fresher, more vibrant and connected younger class of policymakers and setting yourself up as, right, their mentors to be ushering them through these processes, right? This should be a sharing, a pathway. What can I bring in, right? What can I offer that we've been able to do in the past? How can it inform how we move forward? But that's not what Nancy Pelosi is doing. And that is not what Democrats are doing. They are still running to the right to chase after the white folks that have not voted for them since the Civil Rights Act passed. And in doing so, you saw 7 million people sit home. And this election was only won by a handful of fucking votes that we can't afford to lose. But every time that we try and again push our way out of progressive values, push our way out of progressive legislation in the vein of trying to court favor with, the several or so Republicans that they thought were going to turn their way. Maybe it didn't make a whole lot of sense to spend so much time cozying up with Liz Cheney as opposed to going around the country with Crockett and AOC, right? And speaking on college campuses and talking to young people. But here we are. And I believe, here's what I will say. I'm ready for a viable third party. I have been saying that. And I think that it is far past time for us to start building the actual infrastructure. And people ask me, Waj, well, why can't we just work with working families? Or why can't we go with the Green Party? And I will say, personally, I think that each of them come with too much fucking baggage.
Yeah.
Right? They come with too much baggage and too many people associate them, right, in a negative light. And so I think that it is time for us to build something new and fresh with the voices and the people who are being listened to, and let the gerontocracy do what they may in their sunset years.
Or you do what MAGA did with the Republican Party in the sense of taking it over. And the problem is right now everyone says, well, look at Hakeem Jeffries. And I don't have that much faith in Hakeem Jeffries because to me, he looks like centrist who still bends the knee to power. He was the one who did another panel with Liz Cheney after the election. Okay. So yes, he's good this week. I give credit where credit's due, but the type of fire, the type of rage, the type of change that people want is not represented by the Hakeem Jeffries. It is represented by the Crockett's, the Chris Murphys, even though he's go-centrist, but nonetheless, he's getting on message now. He sees where the tide is turning. Mallory McMorrow's, the Ilhan Omars, right? Like the people who are willing to, Jamie Raskin's, the fighters, the ones who are openly advocating for reform. Jamie Raskin actually is a scholar, literally tells you the pathway to reform. The Elizabeth Warrens, right? The Bernie fight. You might not like Bernie, but his framing is good. You can't tell a story. His framing is on point. He's been saying this his entire career. The 1% are taking all the money. They're taking all of your money. They're taking all of your cookies, right? That's the Bernie I love framing. So this is what we need, folks, and we have to keep pushing, right? I think we could do two things at once. You can, as they say in DC, you can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, and then Elon Musk will come and take the bubblegum out of your mouth and say that it's his bubblegum. But I digress. You can push the Democratic Party, and I think we must push the Democratic Party because it's the only viable alternative right now to do better. At the same time, just because you're critiquing the Democratic Party doesn't mean that you're helping MAGA. You can critique the Democratic Party to do better, and you call it the shit show that is MAGA, that is a threat to our country. And you look at the big picture and see the real Wizard of Oz behind the curtains, the 1% effing all of us.
And I will just lift up folks in the chat who are coming up with wonderful names of the new party that we should have. My favorite being the Moodie Party, which is a combo of us, Waj. We can be the leaders of that. But, the fact is I think that people are starving, right? I think that people are starving for something new. They are famished. They are malnourished by the current iteration of this Democratic Party. And it is time. It is time for the people to push back. It is time for a party that is of and by the actual people of this country, and not those who feign to represent us, but then take money from special interests that do us harm behind our backs, that show much more empathy and concern over the threats that CEO billionaires may face, but not the same attention and gravitas towards the school shooters that are gunning down our kids every fucking week, right? That want to show more care and compassion to the billionaire 1% than even mentioning the word working class, right? So we have so much work to do. And I want to give you an opportunity to close out here, Waj, as well. But I think, this is our time to think, as one friend of mine has said. It took the Republicans 50 years to get here. 50 years of planning and strategizing to get to a place where they were going to upend our democracy. Right. They are not going to finish it off in the first 100 days because they can't even get government to function. So while they are in their mode of dysfunction, we need to be thinking and imagining what an actual democracy of and for the people will look like moving forward, because what we have right now ain't it.
No, that's exactly it. And we have to keep pushing. We have to keep using our voice. Look, I did over at Left Hook, I'm not trying to shamelessly promote my Substack, but I did a sobering conversation with Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding about the incoming Trump administration's literal attack on our health and their pro-death movement. I'm not saying that lightly. RFK, and he broke it down. And it was so shocking. Like, it's not just anti-vax, right? Raw milk, fluoride out of water, the attacks on our healthcare system, Medicare, Medicaid, right? But he said something which is an echo, that is a refrain that is echoed by the rest of us, is at the end of the day, what we can do is control our own actions, and we can control our own intentions and our own behavior. And we have to take care of ourselves, our families, and our local communities. It begins at the local level. That's also how the Tea Party started. That's also how MAGA started, right? So why can't we flex our muscles on the ground? There are more of us. Run for school board, run for city council, show up in numbers, right? Run for the hospital boards, right? Run for a local state office, right? Create grassroots organizations. Look at these Amazon workers. It didn't happen overnight. They worked together in solidarity, and then at the same time, they said, "Okay, now, bang." So I feel like, as the brolarchy and the 1% and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and David Sachs and Peter Thiel and Vivek Ramaswamy and JD Vance. By the way, JD Vance with his eye mascara should be on a milk box.
Where is he? Where is JD Vance? He got, he was sitting on the wrong billionaire's lap. He was too busy putting all of his attention on Peter Thiel and didn't realize that Elon Musk was going to come in as the president-elect, which was going to leave him as what? The first mistress? I don't know.
So as these two daddies try to spank us, we'll be like the 38 Republicans in the spirit of bipartisanship, and we're going to rebel. We're going to open up the window, go outside, take the car for a joyride. I'll bring Danielle in. I'll bring Susie in. I'll bring Jean in. And we're going to ride our way to democracy. And so, that's my final words. As we're heading towards the holiday season, this is going to be our last show until what? January 3rd. It's going to be a new year, inshallah. Those who celebrate Christmas, those who don't. It's a rare opportunity for rest. More Americans work than in any other industrialized country. We leave more vacation days on the table than anyone else. We work 2 jobs just to stay broke. Take the time, if you can, to rest, to heal, to find joy. If you give up your joy, they win. If you give up your joy, they take your soul. That's the one thing we can always try our best to keep, is our joy, our sense of self-respect, our confidence, no matter how much they try to humiliate us, mock us, ridicule us. If you walk out the door with your head held high with a smile on your face, you're undefeated.
Yep.
And so that's my resistance. It's always been my resistance. You'll never, ever take the smile out of my face. You'll never take the joy out of my heart. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my life. I love doing the show with Danielle. Use this opportunity to rest, to heal, to find something in your life that gives you purpose and joy. Hold on to it tight and hold on to it for the long term, folks, because this is a long walk. But if Republicans can spend 50 years to undo or try to undo 100 years of progress, we won't need that long because we have the numbers, we have the better story. And inshallah, if we commit to it, we can ensure that maybe, Danielle, you and I won't be around to see it, but the fruits of our labor will be enjoyed by our children.
I mean, I couldn't say it any better than that, Waj. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring Democracy-ish to YouTube this year, and to find what I think is a real home and a real community that we are growing here. And we are super grateful to all of you who show up live and those that show up after and watch and share and like and subscribe, because we're building this together from the ground up. And we just want to say thank you to all of you. You are what keeps us going, because there are some days that are darker than others where we're like, we don't know why we're turning these microphones on and speaking into a void, but you remind us that we're not speaking into a void. So as a final plug, as we head out until the new year, please, thank you so much for the donations that came in today. Thank you so much for the donations that you all continue to provide to us. We're independent media. We are doing this because we believe in this work, and we believe in the truth, and we believe in the people of this country, and we'll continue to do this for as long as as we can. So each and every dollar that you're able to provide, to impart on us is independent money well spent. So that
and also, Danielle, last time I checked, last night you were 250 people away from 10,000. How much do you need now?
I'm not good at math, but I will say I'm not good at math. We are currently, I will say, close to 9,900 subscribers. So folks, help me get to Christmas earlier. Help us build. We only need 100 and change subscribers to meet 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Thank you, Margaret, for doing the math. Margaret said it's 140.
Yeah, you are terrible at math.
I am terrible at math. It was horrible. Thank you, Margaret, for doing the math for me.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, right underneath the YouTube, you see Danielle's face. You press subscribe. To the right of it, there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. You press the thumbs up, that's a like. To the right of it, there's a share button. As soon as we finish, you can share it anywhere. All the elves in the algorithm, they move the algorithm in our direction. To the right of that, there's a circle with ... You press that, and the second button is a heart with a $sign. That's where you give tips and donations, and you help us with our Inshallah Money Piggy Bank, Halal Pigs. So thank you all for supporting, all for watching. Hopefully, I think, Danielle, inshallah, this will get you to 10,000, this video.
I hope so too. And dear friends, please have a restful, healthy, joyful holiday season. And like Waj and I said, we will be back on January 3rd, Friday, January 3rd, 12 p.m. Eastern. Please, to our moderators, thank you so very much for holding it down for us this year. We really appreciate you. And folks, thank you for listening and supporting Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie.
And I'm Wajahat.
And we will be back next year, if in fact we have a country left. Inshallah.